One of the most forgotten recommendations of Catholic social doctrine, if in this soulless and demagogic age people remember any of them, is the one that advises workers to participate in company profits. In the encyclical Quadragesimo Anno, Pius XI expresses this idea bluntly. Under present social conditions, it is preferable, where possible, to mitigate employment contracts by combining them with those of society. In this way, workers and officials are considered partners in ownership or management or share in the profits. Pius XII also expressed himself in the same direction, pointing out, in the message he addressed to the Spanish in 1951, that everything that, within what their circumstances allow, tends to introduce elements of the partnership contract into the employment contract should be encouraged. Later, the infiltration of plutocratic businesses within the church would come to obscure the lucid pronouncements made by those pre-conciliar popes, considered by our idiotic era to be retrograde. Naturally, those pre-conciliar popes did not advocate the collectivization of the company or anything like that. They only recommended that, with care and prudence, the employment contract be tempered with the partnership contract. Thus, the worker feels that his work is as important as the capital injection and, consequently, cooperates and sacrifices himself so that the company prospers. Is there anything more natural than making those who sacrifice and cooperated to achieve sharing prosperity? In fact, that recommendation from the preconciliar popes reveals that they were profoundly knowledgeable about human nature. There is no happier person than one who works with love, employing all his faculties in his daily effort, and there is no work more enjoyable and done with love than the work whose fruits we can enjoy. Capitalism did the opposite of this, as it completely denaturalized work, transforming it into an instrument at the service of production. Thus, work stopped being pleasant and done with love and was reduced to being a means of satisfying basic needs. However, such denaturalization of work quickly condemns companies to failure, because once work stops being done with love, it ends up becoming an activity that the worker does, increasingly, without will and without attachment, with more spiritual repugnance. Perhaps he will continue working to meet your needs, but his work will be increasingly mechanical, dull and devoid of the vibrancy that every committed person instills in the work that leaves his hands. And it will certainly be a job that will fit in with doing work hours, because in this circumstance the worker will hate the company to his core, and every company where people work who do not consider it theirs, going so far as to hate it, is doomed to failure. Workers need to love their work and feel connected to it. When he stops looking with pleasure at the work that leaves his hands, when work becomes a routine or a boring activity, the worker tends to work without care, and he certainly ends up losing interest in the company he works for. He ends up looking at it as a foreign object, whose vicissitudes seem strange to him, and he may end up rejoicing at the setbacks that he may suffer, even favoring their emergence, because work, when it is not enjoyable, introduces a deep rupture into our being, and this rupture ends up ruining the company. There is a passage in The Little Prince that wonderfully expresses this idea. The protagonist of this beautiful story cannot love the roses that he did not grow, because the only form of authentic love consists of dedicating ourselves, body and soul, with patience and dedication to the object of our love. We only love the work in which we feel important. We only get involved in companies that we consider to be ours, companies that don't make us feel expendable. That's why those preconciliar popes, who were so aggressive, advised that workers participate in the destiny of their companies. They were, without a doubt, men who knew human nature much better than these businessmen, blinded by the desire for profit, who intend to obtain benefits by using work done without love. Only work done with love can save a company. The rest is profit today and bankruptcy tomorrow.